works to rescue our surplus food to help provide billions of meals to families in need across the country. Join the fight against hunger at feedingamerica.org. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Blues America is supported by Record High Vinyl Store in Phoenix, the place for serious music fans and vinyl collectors to find large quantities of first pressings, limited editions, box sets, audiophile, and vintage catalog, including blues, soul, jazz. They buy, sell, and trade, and offer vinyl cleaning and flattening service. Visit the store, located at 4242 East University Drive in Phoenix, or for more online at recordhighinphoenix.com. Like them on Facebook. Record High in Phoenix. Experience one of the last great record stores.
You wanted to be a teacher when you were little, but as you grew up, things changed. Teaching just didn't seem like the best option anymore, so you decided to become something else. But what would your 12-year-old self say? Interesting and innovative things are happening in teaching today, so it's time to put it back on your list. Don't try to convince yourself otherwise. You had it right the first time.
Find out how you can make more at teach.org. Make more. Teach. Brought to you by Teach and the Ad Council.
Damn right we got the blues. Blues America. Right now.
Pour some beer, grab a seat, and kick your feet up. It's Blues America. Blues at the break.
Please, oh please, don't let the devil ride. Please, oh please, don't let the devil ride. Well, if you let the devil ride, he wanna show you how to ride. Whoa, please, oh please, don't let the devil ride. Don't let the devil ride with you. Don't you let the devil ride with you. Well, if you let him ride with you, he wanna tell you what to do. Oh, please, oh, please, don't let the devil ride. And I feel good right here. Come on. let the devil be your friend. Don't let the devil be your friend. Well, if you let him be your friend, he wanna lead you to your end. Don't let the devil ride with you. Don't let it ride. Don't let it ride in your home. Don't let it ride. No, 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 no. Don't let it. Don't let it. No, don't let it. Don't let it ride, people.
Promotional consideration for Blues America is provided by the Southwest Musical Arts Foundation, this station, and the listeners of public radio.
This is Paul Austin, ladies and gentlemen, and you are listening to Blues. No, that's Chuck's. This is Paul Austin, ladies and gentlemen, and you're listening to Blues America.
Headed down to the Chicken Shack. It's Blues America time.
If you just turned this thing on, let me tell you what you're doing. You're listening to Blues America with today's special guest, the American Songster, Dom Flemons. His new album is called Black Cowboys. If you miss any part of the show or the radio broadcasts on your local community station, you can listen to the podcast now at bluesamerica.com or on your mobile device using one of the many available apps like iTunes and Google Play. All right, Dom, we are back. And, I think the blues genre, for some reason, and the African American experience, I find that they are routinely left out of the Americana roots scene. I don't know why that is. And this project of yours certainly provides examples of why blues should not be left out. And in fact, you probably found new ways of why the blues inspires it.
Yeah, and it's what's interesting as well in the 1890s when a lot of the era that I'm speaking about was taking place. You have songs like Little Joe the Wrangler, for example, which has the melodic structure of the song The Little Old Log Cabin in the Lane, which is an old minstrel song. But when it made its way out west, it was developed into this cowboy ballad that had the same structure, but the words had been modified and changed to reflect the cowboy's life. One of the fellow who actually wrote the song, Jack Thorpe, one of the great surprises in my journey on this record was finding a copy of Jack Thorpe's autobiography and finding out that his inspiration to document cowboy songs came from when he became a cowboy originally, and he was drawn in by the sounds of a bunch of black cowboys sitting around the campfire playing the banjo and singing a song about their cutting horses. And Thorpe is very specific that when he heard the way that the cowboys sang, it inspired him to write it down because he thought it was a unique part of American culture. And he was very specific that the other songs they sang were what he called cotton patch songs, and so songs of the field that go back to slave culture. But this cowboy song had a different feel to it, and he describes it by saying these songs were born out of the lonesomeness of being on the trail and out of the camaraderie that comes from singing songs together that people could relate to about the struggles of everyday life. And to me, reading between the lines, I thought to myself, that's the blues. He's describing the blues exactly. How we would now say the blues are structured, it's the same elements.
Oh, very good. You know, I don't really spend a lot of time talking to guests about their album artwork and packaging. You know, I've always stayed focused strictly on the music. Today I'm going to make an exception because this product of yours, it really stands out, especially during an age of digital music where record labels spend a lot less time on money and packaging. But I'm holding the album in my hand right now, and, you know, it's like a history book with old photos and extensive research. I mean, it's really special.
Well, of course, as I mentioned before, the audio has to come first, and I wanted people to really relate to this story of black cowboys. But I knew that also, from the first moment, as I mentioned before, a book called The Negro Cowboys inspired me to start this record, and on the cover there's a picture of Nat Love, better known as Deadwood Dick, and I have a picture of Deadwood Dick with his cowboy gear, and the image of this man is so striking that, again, you are transported into a whole different way of thinking about cowboys when you see this man with his gear. And so when I hooked up with Smithsonian Folkways, knowing that they're a academically based label, I wanted to make sure to feature some of the really prominent pictures of African American pioneers of the West. And this also includes pictures of Bass Reeves, who was the first Deputy U.S. Marshal of the United States, and also Stagecoach Mary, who was the first African-American woman to deliver the mail out in Montana, and her portrait of her sitting there with her shotgun and her dog is it's a striking image for people who have never seen this sort of Western culture before. So when I did that, I first thought historic photos was going to be the way. And then I have a good friend, Timothy Duffy, who runs a nonprofit organization, Music Maker Relief Foundation. And in my time of working with him, he started working with a Deerdorf 11 by 14 wet plate collodion film in the style of a lot of the Civil War photographers. And so I grabbed Tim and I said, well, Tim, let's do a cowboy session. And one of the things that's so prominent in cowboy culture are the images that we think of people like Buffalo Bill or Wild Bill Hickok or Geronimo. And I wanted to recreate that flavor, so I grabbed a couple of the players who were featured on the record, and we did a small photo session to supplement so that we could show modern tintypes and old tintypes at the same time. And also on the cover, a wonderful Western artist by the name of Willie Matthews. He painted a watercolor painting of me, and it just ended up being this wonderful, I guess everything fell into place just one step at a time. And I'm so glad that Smithsonian Folkways as well, they did an amazing job of putting all these elements into a package that, you know, on top of it being a musical artifact, we've also created a visual artifact so that, so that now we have a definitive overview of black cowboys as a subject, and that's something I'm so proud of.
Yeah, I would be too if I were you. Great job. We've mentioned a few times you've got roots here in Arizona. Let's talk about your blues journey.
Well, on PBS there was a documentary on the history of rock and roll when I was maybe about 16 or so, and it inspired me to start playing the guitar. And this episode that they had on the folk revival actually specifically has a clip of Lightning Hopkins, and he's playing one of his boogie-woogie shuffles in the style that I end up using on Bass Reeves. And that was my introduction to the blues. From that point on, I went to every single library that I could and found out about Big Bill Broonzy and Leadbelly, because I came into it before